Hey, this is just the best. This is another reminder of how all of these supposed principles of the modern Republican right are meaningless to them. They only care about what is good for me right now. As you might remember, when we were getting closer to the 2020 election, it was Republicans united that mail-in ballots are bad. Mail-in ballots help Democrats. Mail-in ballots allow Democrats to commit fraud, and on and on and on. And in the immediate aftermath of the 2020 election, it was Republicans saying, we've got to stop the count or start the count or count these correctly or that. But the point was the mail-in ballots are bad for democracy. They could be criminal. They are fraudulent, and they just must be stopped because that's what the Democrats do. Well, now they're still counting ballots in the Pennsylvania Republican Senate primary. This was the race we covered live last Tuesday, and which on Wednesday I told you Mehmet Oz is just slightly ahead of Dave McCormick, but they're still counting ballots. Well, now Republicans, candidates and the parties are arguing amongst themselves. Count the mail-in ballots. Don't count them. Include these. Throw these out because they don't have a date on them. They don't care about the principles. All they care about is what helps me right now. There's an article from the New York Times. McCormick sues to count undated mail-in ballots, trailing Oz in Pennsylvania Senate race. Wait a second. Hold on. So in 2020, the problem was any irregular ballot, like it doesn't have a date on it or whatever the case may be, you've got to throw it out. That's bad stuff. Now, the undated mail-in ballots are believed to be likely good for Dave McCormick and not so good for Mehmet Oz. Oh, now we've got to sue. We'd better count those mail-in ballots even if they don't have a date. As irregular as it is for the ballot to not have a date written in, we must make sure that the will of the voter is represented and that the vote is counted. But you guys were just against that. David McCormick is trying to close the gap against Mehmet Oz in the undecided Republican primary contest. This is Neil Vigdor in the New York Times. In a lawsuit filed Monday in Pennsylvania, the Republican Senate candidate David McCormick demanded that undated mail-in ballots should be counted in his primary race against celebrity physician Mehmet Oz, whom he trailed by less than 1,000 votes. McCormick asked the court of Pennsylvania to allow election officials in all 67 counties to accept mail-in ballots from voters who turned them in by the May 17 deadline, but didn't write the date on the outer return envelopes. That step is required by law, one that Republicans have fought to preserve. It's been Republicans in Pennsylvania and other states who have argued for 2020, if there's no date written on the outside, you put that in the trash, you cover it in rocket fuel, and you burn it. We don't count it. But now all of a sudden, McCormick wants it counted. Okay. Arguing the ballots were indisputably submitted on time. They were date stamped upon receipt and no fraud or irregularity has been alleged. In the McCormick campaign's lawsuit, Mr. Hicks, who is this lawyer, took the opposite view of mail-in ballots, saying the election boards in Allegheny County in Western Pennsylvania and Blair County have balked at counting the undated ballots. Those counties, he said, were delaying taking action until after Tuesday, when they are required to report unofficial results to the state. The board's refusal to count the ballots at issue violates the protections of the right to vote under the Federal Civil Rights Act and Pennsylvania Constitution. Whoa, that's pretty serious. Now, you might remember that the very same lawyer was part of a group of lawyers that Trump hired to challenge mail-in ballots in the 2020 election. The same lawyer now saying count all the ballots was part of a group of lawyers saying don't count them in November of 2020 when he worked for Donald Trump. As a reminder, here is Dave McCormick on election night saying, hey, you know what? We've still got mail-in ballots coming. We might still be able to win this thing.
Now we're gonna win this campaign. We're gonna win this campaign. And tomorrow, right now, we have tens of thousands of mail-in ballots that have not been counted,
Right.
that are going to need to be counted beginning tomorrow. And so that's, unfortunately, we're not going to have resolution tonight.
Okay. So now mail-in ballots are good. What is the takeaway? The takeaway, these people are pathetic. They don't really have principles. It's whatever's good for me. Whatever is good for me is the principle. We'll see ultimately who wins this one. But just remember this. Just remember this when they start making all sorts of claims about mail-in ballots in November. Monday, Memorial Day, we're doing our one-day membership special. Make sure you're on my newsletter at davidpakman.com. If you are, you'll be notified Monday morning of how to take advantage of this great one-day membership discount. If you're using traditional toilet paper and paper towels, you're probably cutting down trees from North American old-growth forests. And I've talked about before, we don't want to be doing that. Also, they come wrapped in single-use plastic. That's also a mess. And the solution is Real Paper. This is a sponsor I feel great about. Real Paper makes paper towels and toilet paper from fast-growing bamboo, not from virgin tree fibers from forests. Using bamboo prevents soil erosion, it prevents habitat loss, and importantly, it's a major impact on carbon. Real Paper also uses no plastic packaging. So we often talk about what can we do? Corporations need to do many things, but what can we do to help the environment? This is an easy thing, and I made the switch to Real Paper at home. I can't tell the difference. Everybody buys toilet paper. Everybody buys paper towels. This is one you can actually feel good about. And you can use the code PAKMAN for 30% off your first shipment when you sign up for a subscription at realpaper.com/PAKMAN. The link is down below.